Hello and welcome to POCCA Cape Cod. Hi, my name is Laura Kelley. Today we are at LCTV at Nauset High School in Northeast Tam on Cape Cod. The show is about nutrition. Everything that's connected inside our bodies is connected outside in the world as well. That's a big overview of what's going to happen today, but we'll bring it together for you. Hi, I'm the 11th generation born and raised here on Cape Cod. Thinking about the next 11 generations and wanting to share with you some, valuable information that we all could use along the way to have better lifestyles, higher quality. And so today's show is about nutritional strategies for healthier lives. My guest today is Corrine Brandi. How are you?
Wonderful, Laura. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, for sure. How did you get involved into the health aspect of our lifetime here?
Well, it's been quite a journey, I would say, like many people. In my previous career, I was in the corporate world. I did that for a long time. And I had some health challenges myself that had me look more into ways of bringing my body back into balance. And it really started me on a second career, which is now my primary career, which is health and wellness education and food strategies, really, for keeping the body back in balance. So
Great.
That was about 15 years ago now that I started.
Congratulations. Welcome to the other side.
I know, really, huh?
Because you are what you eat, right? There's a lot of truth to that, isn't there?
There is a lot of truth to that, and I would even take it a little bit further now. I would say that you are what you drink.
Ooh.
So,
by day and by night, right?
Yes, all the time. Because if you think about it, everything that we eat has to turn to liquid in order for us to absorb it. So, one of the very first strategies for having a healthier lifestyle is really to look at what we're drinking on a daily basis. And then, of course, that leads us to the subject of water, which is protect our Cape Cod aquifers, which is the show we're here on.
Yes.
Everything is connected. So yeah, I like to say we are what we drink. And really, if you ask someone to write down what they've drank in the past 48 hours, it's very telling as to their mindset and how they understand how health is really sourced.
Interesting.
So what have you had to drink, Laura, today?
Well, for me, water is the source of life. Mm-hmm. So I drink water. I do add some things into my water. Mm-hmm. I haven't had juice in a while. I used to do smoothies a lot, but I haven't been doing that now just a couple weeks. So it's interesting to see, how that's all changing and my energy levels adapting to it, and it's but we're all on different pathways. So for me, I'm always trying new things. And, I adapt it for a couple of weeks or something, and then I shift. But this is different. This is, more something I want to keep on for a longer time than just a couple of weeks. So water, yeah, I'm actually really particular, very particular about what I drink. So I'm drinking alkaline water. It's actually called Kangen water, and that's 9.0 on the alkaline scale.
Yeah, funny that you should mention pH balance and acid-alkaline balance. I would say that this book, I don't know if you've ever seen this, it's called Sick and Tired. This was one of the first books written by Robert O. Young.
Put it to that camera is your camera.
He is a scientist, microbiologist, and nutritionist in pH balance.
Oh, great.
So pH balance is one of the most important things to understand whenever we're looking at health, and most of us never even learn about it. We learn about it in the soil. I know you're a landscaper. We learn about it certainly if you've got any kind of fluid. If you've got fish tanks, people learn about pH balance.
Right.
If you've got swimming pools, people learn about pH balance. But few people consider that most of us is water. You know, a large percentage of our blood is water.
Right.
A large percentage of our brain is water. When we're born, we're mostly water. And it's that water that keeps the fluids of the body actually moving. So the first strategy to health is really to understand that we are high water content beings, and then what kind of water do we really want to be drinking, and how do you keep that internal environment nice and clean and moving.
So
Yeah.
Gatorade, you know, types of water with things in them, that doesn't count, right? That doesn't count. And of course the sodas and et cetera, the alcohols, that's not water.
Yeah, no, it's not water and it's not alkaline fluid, so it's acid fluid. And life is always about balance. Unfortunately, in terms of what we're eating and drinking, whether it's a soda or whether it's a pharmaceutical drug, anything acidic needs to be balanced off with that which is alkaline. So for example, we have some beautiful alkaline plants on your table here.
I know, can you guys see this at all? So I've been playing around because I'm a gardener. And basically this is celery, and a great alkaline vegetable. And you just, I mean, you go to the grocery store and get some organic celery, of course, and you cut off the top and eat it. And if you actually take the bottom and just leave it in water, you can regrow celery.
Isn't that fabulous?
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Not hard. Just add water and leave it in the sunlight. No big deal.
And so many people are heading towards, you know, growing their own alkaline vegetables, and it seems like everybody is moving in that direction all at once.
Which is wise. We need to do that, and we need to buy more, you know, health consciously, to get things that are organic. And I know organic is more expensive, but you're worth it, because then it's not full of, you know, it's not genetically modified, and it's not full of pesticides and herbicides and fungicides, and it's not grown with man-made synthetics, because you're going to end up consuming all that. Purchasing at local farmers markets, that's the best way to spend your money, because then your money's going towards something that we want to grow. We would rather grow, you know, our own community versus, you know, sources like, you know, Monsanto and you know, bulk agriculture, because we don't know how things are getting processed. So yeah, play around, you know, buy organic, but grow it again.
And you know, while we're talking about the water supply here on Cape Cod, all of those things that we consume, if we are consuming toxins, whether those toxins are coming from pharmaceutical drugs or over-the-counter drugs, or whether those toxins are coming from the pesticides, the herbicides, the fungicides, the rodenticides that are being sprayed on those vegetables. Let's say we're making a green drink, for example, and we're not using organic vegetables. You know, anytime that you either juice something or you make a shake out of it, you condense the food. So you're bringing a food down into something that's almost a medicine, for example. So if I'm going to go and buy celery, which is one of the top 10 most heavily pesticided foods if you buy it traditional, and then I take it home and I'm going to juice it or put it into some kind of a juice, then I'm going to condense all those pesticides.
Wow.
And then those pesticides are going to go into my body, and then not all of them are going to stay, hopefully. I'm going to flush some of them out. And then where are those going to go? Those are going to go into our water table. Those are going to go into our treatment center. But our treatment centers aren't equipped for all of these brand new drugs and brand new things. So along with shopping clean food for all of its various wonderful reasons for local support, I think it's also important to talk about our habit of moving towards drugs when our body's out of balance, and how dangerous that is to the aquifer. Have you ever heard of Dr. Brian Clement or the Hippocrates Health Institute?
No.
They originally started here in Boston, and they're now down in West Palm Beach. Dr. Brian and Anna Maria Clement have been using grasses for the most part, and this is another book that he has here, Healthful Cuisine.
Great.
And he's been using grasses to help people pretty much balance out. Ian Wigmore is a name people may recognize for grass.
Oh, wheatgrass.
Yeah, this is the wheatgrass book. Ian Wigmore actually started the Hippocrates Institute. And what they do is they use grass, and people get off all kinds of pharmaceutical drugs.
Isn't that great?
It's
now, tell
amazing.
us about your kitchen.
Yes, I recently built a kitchen which is a whole food, more raw food kitchen, where we are growing inside the kitchen wheatgrass and herbs and sprouting things. There's a picture of it right there. I'm pouring some juice in the new kitchen. It's ecologically designed with bamboo and cement, and the floors are cork. But most importantly, the appliances there are designed for, excuse me, a more whole food lifestyle. And since we've done that, we've been eating so much better.
So that's not an oven,
That's actually a steam oven that we're looking at next to the refrigerator, and it treats food very gently. So you can reheat the food without microwaving it, which again modifies the water of the food. So we blow up the cells from the kind of inside out with a microwave. This is going to help to treat the food very, very gently so that most of the nutrition is retained with a...
So would it still be raw food?
Well, it depends on how high you take the heat.
Okay.
If you take heat up over about 118 degrees, you alter the enzymes, the way that the food actually breaks down, so it wouldn't be considered, quote, technically raw anymore.
Right.
So if I'm someone who's eating more processed foods, more heavy sugar foods, more heavy animal foods, which has a huge impact on the water table, then I'm probably going to be more likely to wind up with a pharmaceutical drug as part of my strategy. And one of the things that Dr. Brian Clement says is we really don't know what the result is when you take a chemotherapy drug and you mix it with a few hormones, say a little testosterone, some estrogen, and then you mix that with a statin drug and you put it into the water table of the 40% that we have of small wells on our homes here. And we live on a sand pit to begin with, as you well know.
Yeah.
And so people don't understand that as they're moving their bowels and they're excreting all of these things, it's also going to join our water table. And I have the same wonderful water filter that you do, but how do we know what's actually in it in order to get it out? So a couple of strategies for helping the body go back into balance and maybe having less of a need for pharmaceutical drugs to manage symptoms is maybe something we could chat about for a moment.
Sure, yeah, it's the key. Yep.
You know I love grass as a primary strategy. This whole notion of pH balance and really moving towards more green foods and local foods and non-GMO foods and really bringing up the green content of our diet. Latest studies are showing that, especially in middle age, moving to that high water content, high living food green diet is having a major impact in helping us stay in balance. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here.
But there's a way to adjust it where it tastes good too, and that's something that you get to play with for yourself, because we all have different taste buds. Some of us like it spicy, some of us like things sweet, you know, but this is really, it's almost like a neutral. It's neutral, it balances, you know, because we're eating, most of our diets are highly acidic just because we're accustomed to that, and that's the way they are. So we have to think about how to balance that off. And avocados is another great, you know, alkaline food. You know, there's many out there. You can do your own research and see what foods you like that are alkaline. But what do they say? 52% a day should be alkaline or something?
Well, there's nasty math associated with the pH balance, the alkaline acid balance, because it takes 20 parts alkalinity to balance one single part of acid.
Wow.
So if I'm going to start my day with a Coke or a Diet Coke, then I'm going to have to work or coffee, which is, you know, acidic in its own right, then I'm going to have to actually work hard to balance off my lifestyle that day without leaving myself at an acid deficit at the end of the day.
Interesting.
And it's becoming more and more difficult as time goes on because there's less really healthy options. And then I've noticed now that a lot of things you would get in a regular salad when you go out to eat, like celery, tomatoes, those things are all on the top 10 list for the most pesticides and herbicides.
I know.
So now you're going out to eat and you're trying to get a salad. And so it's challenging to have a defensive strategy, but pH balance is certainly one of the things that's going to help to minimize and keep us off of the necessity for more drugs and more surgery to manage things.
I think when we go out to restaurants, it's a really hard time now because we don't know what we're eating. The only time we can control what we actually consume is in our own homes.
Right.
So whoever's in charge
Right.
of, you know, purchasing for their family and their loved ones, it's a high responsibility now because, you know, you have all these options and what to choose. And I look at the little numbers, you know, if you ever go to a place like a Stop and Shop, there's like 5 numbers on it. Make sure the 9 is in the front because that's organic. And there's all these codes. But we should talk about this because time.
We should, yes.
Yeah, what's going on here?
You know, and just to leave food off to the side, I would say, you know, not pay attention too much to calories because calories don't give us much access to high quality food, and instead to look at things like the new ANDI index, the aggregate nutrient density index that you'd find at some of the stores, to look at food whether it's clean or filled with pesticides, to look at food whether it's real or genetically modified, to look at food whether it's alive or whether it's dead, you know, whether it's acid or whether it's alkaline. These are some of the new ways that we have to be judging what we're eating.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk a little about the 1998 Nobel Prize in Medicine. You know, oftentimes science doesn't translate into access for people. You know, science can get locked up. And so in 1998 there was a book written by the Nobel laureates called No More Heart Disease.
Ooh.
And No More Heart Disease showed that nitric oxide, this little gas in our bodies generated by a healthy artery, is a key factor in regulating our entire cardiovascular system.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we're looking at healthy lifestyles, leveraging the best of science is a very smart thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So educating people on L-arginine and on nitric oxide and some of the leading edge of where we're at with regard to cardiovascular health is an important topic. So what I have brought with me here today is I've brought a screening device that's FDA cleared to evaluate your arteries, the health of your arteries.
Great, let's go for it.
And we can do this, you know, the blood is king. The body will do just about anything to keep the blood alive. So a health strategy is going to focus on our whole body and specifically the blood. So this is going to measure your pulse wave, the pulse wave on your finger. Does that ring come off your left hand? Okay, good. And is your hand's nice and warm? Oh, good, Laura. Okay, good. If you would just sit back in your chair and relax a little bit, just however you want to rest your arms so that it's not necessarily squished. I'm going to see if I can get this to,
During your test, don't move or talk.
if it's going to do what it's doing. Okay, so you want to be nice and still, and you're not going to talk just for 3 minutes, and I'm going to talk a little bit.
Your screening is starting.
If we're looking at what is the real dangerous path for, and if you can hold your head kind of still as well, and I'll talk you through it. You're about 15 seconds in. The number one thing that affects our health in this country and worldwide is our cardiovascular system. In all of our lifestyle habits and all of the things that we were referring to earlier, with regard to kind of the status of the world today, they have a dramatic effect on our blood and on our arteries. So when we were born with really nice, healthy arteries, and it's basically a muscle here, and these cells on the inside are called the endothelial lining. And when we go to the endothelium, and I know we have another picture of it as well, when we're young and we have healthy lining on the inside of our arteries, the body takes one of the amino acids called L-arginine, and you're 1 minute in, and it converts that L-arginine to a gas called nitric oxide. And it turns out that nitric oxide is the key regulating molecule for the whole cardiovascular system, which includes the heart, and it also includes our 50,000 miles or more of veins, arteries, and capillaries. So what we've been doing so far is kind of waiting for people to have symptomologies of cardiovascular challenge, such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, maybe pain. But what we can do now is we can screen ahead of time for cardiovascular overall health with this device, and this is measuring heart rate variability on your heartbeat. And it's just 3 minutes, it's non-invasive, the device is FDA cleared. We have many doctors and medical practitioners using the device. And how does this relate back to what we were talking about? Why wait until we have to go to the cath lab? You know, why wait until we do need 3 or 4 or 5 different pharmaceutical drugs or heart drugs? Why not screen people ahead of time to find out where we're at, and then that gives us the opportunity to make the kind of lifestyle changes that we now know can help us keep these healthy veins and arteries. So for someone as, you know, healthy as you, it's a wonderful test because cardiovascular challenges are silent. And you don't know that you have them until something occurs, and now we can find out. So we're just finishing up your screening, and then we're going to see what the status of the arteries are. Okay. Now, we're going to take this into account that it's late at night and you're kind of sitting up over there and etc. But it actually goes ahead and it will give you your artery type from 1 to 7. And the almost probable certain future is that as we age, we go from a nice clean artery somewhere along the line to arteries that are more clogged because of lifestyle and diet and the world we live in. So you were born 100% type 1, and at this instant in time, you are 100% type 2.
Oh, not too shabby.
Not too shabby. No, it isn't. So type 2 would certainly be minimal buildup, you know, small amount of minimal buildup here. And the screening really isn't about this instant in time, but, you know, if you're 40 now and you're a type 2, then where are you going to be when you're 50? And where are you going to be when you're 60? And where are you going to be when you're 70?
Right.
So we want to help people leverage the best of science and kind of uncouple this notion of aging equaling disease.
Right. Preventative.
Aging is one thing, disease is another. So I've screened people much younger than you who have screened at type 4 arteries or type 5 arteries. So our age is one thing, but our internal age, our arterial age is something else. And as medicine goes along, we're seeing more and more how that could occur. We took some other markers here as well, looking at the strength of your heart, and some other markers also looking at your nervous system, Laura. And overall, you're pretty well balanced here. Nice heart rate you've got going on. You didn't drop any artifact beats. We didn't see any arrhythmias. You're pretty much balanced in your nervous system. Your stress score is at a good place. And so you're someone who could stay here if you knew about nitric oxide and its ability to keep your arteries open.
Great.
Yeah. Leveraging the Nobel Prize in medicine, I would encourage people to pick up the book called No More Heart Disease. It was written by Louis Ignarro, and he is one of the Nobel laureates, and it shows where this amazing molecule, nitric oxide, can kind of make up for the damage that some of us have done to our arteries before we knew about wheatgrass, before we understood about hydrating, you know, before we knew about GMOs, before we even had a chance to make our own food decisions. Maybe we were younger. So nitric oxide is an amazing molecule, and it has now been clinically proven to help people be able to return somewhat challenged arteries right back to normal.
This is fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, is this something that, you know, can be done like pretty easily at your house or somebody else's house, or, I mean,
in terms of the screenings?
Yeah.
Yes, we have screenings available at a few chiropractors' offices here on Cape. I have an office here in Katuitt where people can come and get screened at any point. I sometimes am out in the local health food stores doing community screenings.
Nice.
If they contact me, I'd be glad to set up anyone or their family just to see where they're at.
And then do you give, you know, a sort of like a follow-up, you know, this is wherever you're at, and if you have goals, this is what you can do to go forward kind of advice?
Yes, we like to put people on a 21-day challenge.
Oh, fun.
21 days, a lot of things can happen.
Will you do it for me?
Sure.
Good.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So could you just voice out loud really quick your contact information, maybe just your name and your phone number for those?
Sure. Yes, my name is Corrine Brandi, and my phone number is 508-280-0620. And you can find me on Facebook. I'm the only Corrine Brandi out there.
That's actually how we met.
It is,
Yes.
yes. I was also told about you and the wonderful work that you're doing on the Cape in many different areas,
Fun.
and I wanted to meet you.
And I'd love it if you would just tell us really quickly, you have this great visual. It tickles me how you talk about the internal waterways. I guess how I opened this whole episode with the external really quickly, so 1 minute.
Okay. As is the inside, so is the outside.
Yes.
Yes.
Should be the title
So
of the show.
we don't need to wait for some kind of a CPT code to let us know that it's important to understand how to stay in balance today.
Right.
Because if we look at the external fluids of the planet, we're seeing some struggling with pH and the cleanliness of our waters. And the same is true for our internal waters.
So the best thing we can do is think about whatever you do to yourself, we're doing to the earth. I mean, that's what I learned most from, you know, talking to you about what we want to say in this show. And it's just common sense, really. So, you know, we don't have to take on the world. You know, we want to change things. How do you do that? It sounds so big. If we can just be responsible for ourselves, our own actions, you know, down to recycling 100%, eating as organically, at least non-toxically as possible, you know, we're going to affect our own endocrine systems, our own hormonal balances in ways that then we will be affecting the planet's waterways as well. Is that a nice way of saying that, I think?
It certainly is.
So thank you again for joining us today at POCCA Cape Cod. That's Protect Our Cape Cod Aquifer, where it's all about connecting the dots, the polka dots. Be well. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks for being here.